Chapter 8 Pearls, the Jewels of the Sea. It was 3 days before the month of February was to begin. The Nautilus was halfway through the Indian Ocean. It was headed for the island of Ceylon. Professor Aronnax sat reading a book about Ceylon when Captain Nemo joined him on deck. Ceylon is known for its pearl fisheries. Pearls are the jewels of the sea, said the captain. Would you care to visit one of them, Professor? He asked. Yes, was the professor's reply. The captain said it was early for the fishing season. They might not see any fishermen, but they would enjoy just seeing the fisheries. The captain gave the professor more information. He said the divers used old ways to bring up pearl oysters. They would tie themselves with ropes to their boats. Then they would put a large, heavy rock between their feet to act as an anchor while they grabbed as many oysters as they could carry. The men wore no diving suits, so they could stay down no longer than a minute or two. When they returned to the surface of the water, they usually had blood coming out of their noses and ears. This happened when divers dive too deep. The deeper one dives, the greater the water pressure becomes. With luck, they would not have met any sharks along the way. Will we be facing any sharks? Asked the professor. It is likely we may be approached by some, said the captain. Shark hunting can be most interesting, however. The professor told Ned that the captain had invited them to explore the pearl fisheries with him. He did not tell Ned about the sharks. With a little luck, he thought to himself, we will not meet up with any of them. The next morning, the men set out to where the oyster beds were. When they reached the area, they dropped their anchor. The men were ready. Captain Nemo handed the professor and Ned steel knives. He told them it would be useful to have knives on hand to protect themselves. Ned had his trusty old harpoon, however. He planned to use it if he had to. The crew helped the men go over the side of the small boat. They followed Captain Nemo to the ocean floor. There must have been 1,000,000 pearl oysters clinging to rocks all around them. The men began filling their bags with the oysters. If it were possible to carry up 1,000,000 pearl oysters, they surely would have. They were all busy filling their bags. The time just flew by. Captain Nemo motioned to the professor and Ned to hide behind a large rock. They positioned themselves there and watched. The men watched a diver, most likely an Indian, search for the oysters. He was ahead of the season and by himself. The men watched the man as he began to get down on his knees and fill his bag with the oysters. The man made a few trips up to his boat, and then he came back down for more. The 3 men watched the diver closely. Suddenly, a look of fear came over the Indian's face. A large shadow hung over him. They all looked on with fear when they saw what the shadow was. It was an enormous shark, and it was heading for the diver. The jaws of the shark were wide open. The man stood still as the shark became a great threat to him. Then the man jumped to one side. However, the shark's powerful tail hit him in the chest and knocked him down. In a second, he was out cold on the ocean floor. The creature was about to carve the Indian into 2 parts when Captain Nemo interrupted the event from happening. Captain Nemo took his knife and plunged it into the shark again and again until the sea was red with the shark's blood. This, however, was not enough to kill the mighty monster of the sea. The shark pushed its weight against the captain and knocked him down. Now the shark's jaws were ready to cut the captain into 2 parts. Upon seeing this, Ned threw his harpoon at the shark. The shark stood still. Ned, in his rage, had killed the shark with his powerful harpooning skills. Captain Nemo helped the Indian up to his boat. He was able to get the man to breathe again. Then the captain put the bag of pearls into the man's hands. The man had a puzzled look on his face. What, he wondered, did he do to deserve such good luck? The men arrived back at their boat. Captain Nemo thanked Ned for saving his life. The men looked back at the water. They saw the shark come to the surface. It was over 25 feet long. It had an enormous mouth with large rows of teeth. Within minutes, other sharks were all over the area. They began fighting over the dead shark. They were making a feast out of it. Back on board the Nautilus, Professor Aronnax expressed himself to Captain Nemo. He told him that he admired his courage in helping the Indian. The captain said that the Indians had been treated poorly by others living in the area. He said that he would try and help them as much as he could, and he would help them until the day he died.